Okay, well, what we're going to talk about this afternoon is the buyer's consultation. We're going to talk a little bit about the buyer's guide, and we're going to close with once you have your buyer under contract or you're getting ready to write an offer, how you put it in command and DocuSign.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we will get started. Let's talk about your value proposition a little bit. So imagine if you were on an elevator and you were talking to the person on the elevator and you let them know that you're a real estate agent and they ask you, why would I work with you? What sets you apart from anybody else? What value do you bring to the table? So I'm gonna share. My wife and I work as a team, so I'm gonna share a little bit about our value proposition. My background's in construction. I don't like to see me.
Don't look at me now.
So my background is in construction. I was a union carpenter for 37 years, and my wife is a nurse practitioner. So we developed this buyer's guide here that we give to all our buyers. And our value proposition is we are committed to educating ourselves with regard to real estate. Keller Williams leads the industry in education and innovation, and we share our wealth of knowledge with our customers. If we don't know the answer to your question, we have the resources to find them. Jennifer's extensive background in healthcare enables her to understand the psychology of buying a home, as well as how to create a win-win experience for all involved. And Matt's experience in the construction industry enables him to look at a home a little bit more differently than most buyers do. And that's our value proposition. So it's important that you come up with a reason, what makes you stand out. So once we get a buyer, we really want to get them to the office so we can do a consultation with them. Most of my buyers' consultations are done over the phone because most of my clients are out of state. But the purpose of the buyer's consultation is twofold. One, you want to educate the buyer on the process, take them step by step through the process, what's going to happen. And two, you want to do a needs analysis. What exactly is it that they're looking for and where do they want to be? So let's start at the very beginning. So it's very important that you set expectations in the beginning, because if you don't, they become humps later on. I have this, I think it's in your guide here too. This is steps to the buyer's consultation. And the first thing I say is thank you for taking the time out. I know your time is very important, and thank you for coming in. And I would like to talk to you about the entire buying process. And so I ask a couple questions. One, are you paying cash? Are you financing? Do you have a pre-approval? If they say no, then explain the difference between the pre-approval and the pre-qualification. If you want to put in an offer, you're going to have a pre-approval. And the difference between the two is pre-qualification, you can pretty much do over the phone. They'll ask you what your income is. You tell them what your income is, but you don't have to prove anything. Whereas the pre-approval, they want documents. A list of stuff here. So on a pre-approval, they're going to want most recent 2 years of tax returns, W-2s, 1099s, most recent 2 months of checking savings account statements, blank retirement account statements, most recent pay stubs, a copy of your driver's license, and if there's a bankruptcy, you're going to need paperwork on that, divorce decree, marital license, child support court orders. So that's all stuff with a pre-approval. Pre-qual, you don't need any of this. So it really, pre-qual really doesn't hold much water. So we talk about that, and then we talk about the inspection process. So we're going to place an offer. You're going to have your home inspected. The buyer pays for the home inspection, and that usually runs anywhere from $350 to $500. And you're going to want to have a termite inspection done at the same time. And so the inspector, what he does, he goes through the house and he's looking at a lot of different things. He does a thorough evaluation of the home to determine if there are any issues with structure or systems. And usually the inspection period's anywhere from 10 to 15 days, but now with the market the way it is right now, we're seeing sellers wanting 5 and 7 day inspections because they don't want to have their house off the market because they're selling so quickly. So the other thing that we do is we have buyer instant notification systems. So what that means is once we know the criteria of what you're looking for, we put you on an automatic email. Those properties come directly to you. This means you will not miss any opportunities. We also have an app. It's KW app. We'll share that with you before we leave today. And our app has a built-in GPS. So no matter where you are, if you click on nearby homes for sale, those homes will pop up. If you're in your neighborhood, if you're out for a bike ride, if you're just driving around, it's a great tool to have in the buying process. We'll also, you can click on open houses. It will tell you any open houses that are coming up in the area. If you're driving around on Sunday, it'll show you the open houses that are currently open. It will, there's also a, how do you want to call it? A mortgage calculator that you can use. And if you see a property in there that you really liked and you earmarked it and you go back to it the next day and it's not there, that means it's under contract. Our app updates every 15 minutes, whereas the Zillow app, you may look at a property, it may have sold 3 months ago, it's still going to appear in there. The other thing we do is circle prospecting. And what that means is We have our inside sales team conduct outbound phone calls. Certain neighborhoods, if you want to purchase in a certain neighborhood and there's no homes for sale in there, we'll call phone numbers around that neighborhood, see if anybody has talked to anybody that's looking to sell a home. We also call for sale by owners to see if we can find exactly what it is you're looking for. Now, when you go to visit an open house or a FSBO or new construction, I'll give you a stack of cards and you let them know that you're working with the Shields Group. Especially if you go into new construction and you start dealing with their agent works for the builder. We work for you, so we're going to get you the best deal possible. And if there are some incentives, sometimes the builder won't let you know what the incentives are, but we'll find out what they are. Any questions so far? So when we start the home viewing process, that's like one of the most exciting parts about buying a home is seeing what's out there. On average, a buyer will look at 7 to 10 homes before they purchase one. I used to think, well, you got to look at 100 homes before you buy. But if you do your consultation right and you listen to the buyer and ask lots of questions and do lots of listening, you can narrow that down quite a bit.
That's changed at all in this market?
7 to 10 homes? Yeah, I think it's probably changed quite a bit. I think a lot of people just, well, I sold a condo on Venice Island and it was the first property that they looked at. So I mean, if they see something, they're jumping on it right now because if they don't, it's gone. Yeah, so this is a little antiquated too.
Yeah. You do have the
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit too. Let's talk about buyers or liars. It's really, really important that you listen to what they're saying. I had a buyer come down from Pennsylvania, this was last year, did a buyer's consultation over the phone. And I asked, what are the 3 things that you have to have? 3 bedrooms, minimal 1,700 square feet, 2-car garage. Their price point, their max budget was 200. We looked at, they were just here for a weekend. We went out Saturday and Sunday. We looked at 9 properties and we wrote an offer on Sunday. And this house was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, oversized 2-car garage. Well, they wanted to be close to the beach too. This house was 6 minutes from the beach, 1,700 square feet. So we wrote the offer, submitted the offer. They called me at 11 o'clock that night. We want to withdraw our offer. And it was priced at 192. So withdrew the offer. And they said the next day they were leaving. They had to catch a plane at noon. So they picked out a couple of villas that they wanted to see. So we went to see 2 villas. One was 1,200 square feet. One was 1,000 square feet. Neither one had a garage. What do you think they bought?
1,000 square foot.
Yep. 1,000 square foot, no garage.
No.
No, I think I just didn't listen. And I think the real issue was money. Because the villa that they bought was $152,000. So that's what I'm saying. You really have to listen. And I mean, you have to be a psychologist at times too. I mean, and buyers, they're not really liars. They just don't know what they want. You know, if you're working with a buyer and they say, yeah, we don't want a pool home. No way do we want a pool home. And you show them a pool home. And all of a sudden they want a pool home. We have to have a pool home now. Some people are adamant they don't want one. Some people just don't know if they don't want one.
You have to kind of ask them why they don't want them, though. Like, what are the reasons you don't want?
Yeah, a lot of times the reasons I hear is we don't want to have to take care of it. But if they're coming from up north,
Right.
you have a pool up north,
It's totally different.
it's a totally different animal than down here. I mean, we never close our pools down here, and you add chlorine once a week, and that's pretty much all you do. You know, I had a pool up north, and you had to close it down in September. You had to add chemicals to it before you closed it. Then you open it up in May, add more chemicals to it. Then with all the trees and all the dirt, you're constantly cleaning. So yeah, there is a difference between up there and down here. Before we go on the appointment, I tell them to wear, if they can, slip-on shoes. Most people that come down here to look at properties have flip-flops on, just in case you have to take your shoes off. There are some properties where you have to put booties on. And I always take a folder with me, and I give them a folder. I have a folder for myself, and I give them one. And all the properties that we're going to see are in that folder, in the order that we're going to see them, and I give them a pen so they can take notes at each property. And then what I do with each property is I highlight, take my highlighter, I highlight bed, bath, square footage, taxes, and I look in the description, and if it says like new roof 2020, I'll highlight that, because they always ask, and that way they can, I mean, it's right there, they can see it. Sure.
Do you have them rate the properties before you leave?
I tell them to take notes while we're there and put a number
Yeah.
where it is, and you'll notice as they're going to see different oh, this one just went from a 1 to a 3. This one just went up to a 1. And yeah.
I've had my buyers rating properties before we leave, don't change the number when we get another one. So that way when we go back and we look at them, they can automatically, the 5s or whatever, and the 6s, just throw those out and we'll look at the 7s and the 8s. And just, because immediately that kind of just separates, makes a pile. Because there'll be times when we would leave and the notes, I noticed right away when I first started doing this, the notes would kind of just boggle everything, and they would get confused and lost, and the houses would start blending together. So it was the only way that I could do it. I didn't know if you had a different way of doing it.
No, I just give them a pen and tell them to take notes.
Yeah.
And I always ask, you know, I stay quiet while we're in the house. And I don't follow them. Like, I'll open the door and just let them go so they can take it all in. I don't want to be asking them questions while they're trying to take everything in. And then before we leave, I'll ask, you know, what are some pros of this house? What are some cons? What do you like about it? What didn't you like about it? If you can change something about this house, what would it be? And just try to get as much information as possible from them. So then we talk about what earnest money is. This is all you're still in the consultation. Explain to them what earnest money is. Talk about the contract a little bit, where earnest money comes into the contract, and how when making an offer, it's just not price. There's like 4 moving parts to that contract that can be negotiated, and earnest money is one of them. And if you really, really want a certain house and you want to make your offer stand out above everybody else's, then you're going to want to put as much earnest money in there as you possibly can. And they say 1 to 2% is normal. So on a $600,000 house, I like to see 15,000 in earnest money. And that lets the seller know that you're serious. You do have a serious buyer. And we'll talk about appraisals. So we're looking at a $300,000 house. We're gonna put in a full price offer. Maybe the house doesn't appraise, then what? So there's 4 things that can happen when a house doesn't appraise. 1, the seller can drop the price. 2, the buyer can throw in more money. 3, you can negotiate it. Or 4, you can cancel the contract. If you have a cash buyer, you don't have to worry about an appraisal. Explain to them when you get the home inspection. So we go under contract today. We want to notify. What I do is I will give them 3 home inspectors that I use. I don't pick it for them. I'll say, these are 3 companies that I use. They're all good. Who would you like to use? And they'll normally say, well, I don't know, who do you suggest? And I'll say, oh, Home Inspections Plus. And I'll set the appointment for them. So after we have that discussion, as soon as we're under contract, I'll call the home inspection company, say, we got a 10-day inspection. When can you fit me in? And if they can't fit me in, then I'll contact somebody else.
Do you attend to the inspections?
What's that?
Do you attend?
Always. Yeah. Yeah, I attend all my inspections. I usually show up about an hour before they're done. That way, the inspector will give a summary of things that he found. And sometimes my buyers aren't there because they're out of state. And that way I'm able to hear it first before they get the report, so I can kind of prepare for it.
The buyers always think that it's phenomenal that you attend to. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I think it's important that you attend. So yeah, you get the inspection, order the inspection as soon as you get under contract, because right now home inspectors are totally busy. And I use one inspector when I'm selling in Charlotte County or in Venice. He also does termite. So I get them both done at the same time, and he doesn't charge for it.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a home inspector right now.
Yeah, it is a great time.
They're rolling in the door.
Yeah. Talk about what is a residential service contract. That's a home warranty. Talk about that a little bit. What does a home warranty cover? How does it benefit you? As an agent, when I show a property and you say we write an offer on a property, we go under contract, I look at the appliances when we go through the property. And if they're 12 years old or older, I'm going to definitely advise a home warranty, or I'm going to provide one for them at closing.
That's what a closing is?
Yes. So the Supreme, our vendor's 210 home warranty, and the Supreme is $560, but it covers the appliances and the dryer. If you just get the standard, it doesn't cover the appliances. It covers the AC, but not the appliances.
Is it for a year?
Yes, it's for a year, and then the buyers can renew, but their cost is a little bit higher.
Oh, the agents.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, they're a couple $100 higher. But if your air conditioner breaks down, it's a repair or replace policy. So it could conceivably save you $7,000. Then it covers a hot water tank too. Hot water tank's $1,200. So it's definitely worth it. And if you want to add value, provide a home warranty.
When do you purchase it for them? At the closing?
No, I purchase it, well, you pay for it at closing.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't close, you don't pay it. But you would want to have it in your DA. So know in advance if you're going to provide a home warranty, because when you submit that DA to the title company, they're going to want to see that they're supposed to deduct $560 out of your check.
So let the title company.
It'll be on a DA. Okay, so you call 210 home warranty. Hi, this is Leslie. I want to purchase a home warranty for my buyer. They'll ask you the address. You tell them the address of the property. And when you're filling out it's in command now. I'm not real familiar with but there's a spot in there that you can put home warranty in the price, and then it'll show up in your DA. So that's that. Talk about closing on your new home. I will always be present at your closing. The title company will let us know. The title company will actually contact you, find out what's a good time. We already know the date. And morning work better for you, afternoon work better for you, and we'll go to the closing. You must bring a driver's license. If you don't bring your driver's license, you can't close on your home. And the title company will also discuss wiring instructions for wiring the money that you have to bring to closing from your bank. And you'll get your keys and live happily ever after in your new home. And that is the buying process. That's what happens when we buy a home. Let's talk about the perfect home for you. And we discuss the buyer needs analysis. And I forgot this too. The other thing I do in my buyer's consultation is I print this market report out. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Where do you get this? Off of the MLS?
Yeah, you get on the MLS, go into the MLS before you log in, go to resources,
Okay.
and then go to market stats. And there's actually 9 of these.
Oh.
And this is the one I use. And the reason I like this one is because it shows the market share in the different price points. And the area I have highlighted, that's the sweet spot in our market, 200,000 to 400,000. And you can see here that the list to sold percentage is 97 to 98%. So when we make an offer on a house, our offer needs to be at least 97 to 98%, where we can't go in at 92% and expect to purchase the home.
Unless it's a house that doesn't comp to the area, because.
Well, and that's the other thing that we're going to do. You're going to tell me which house you want to purchase, and then I'm going to do comps for you. And we're going to see if it was priced right. And if it was priced right, then our offer needs to be accordingly. If it was $40,000 overpriced, we're gonna go by what the comps say.
Because unfortunately, in this market right now, there are agents who are thinking because it is a seller's market, they can over list.
I have a story there.
And then there's problems with appraisals, because I have a story there.
I went on a listing appointment right before Christmas. And these people, they weren't sure if they wanted to sell or not. And they wanted me to give them a valuation of their home. They wanted to know what it was worth. And I had sold 3 properties in this community, so I know the community pretty well. And so I basically told them somewhere between 395 and 400. And so the wife said, we're going to North Carolina for Christmas. Give us a call on the 5th. We'll be back. And at that time, we'll have a decision for whether we're going to list it or not. So I called her and she said, we listed with another agent. We didn't like your valuation. And they listed it for $439.9
Wow.
and sold it in 4 hours to a cash buyer.
Oh.
Had it been somebody financing, it would have never appraised.
Yeah. Well, good for them.
So, I mean, that's what's happening today. That's what's going
Yeah,
on.
so good for them.
Yeah.
Sorry for you, Matt.
Yeah. Well, I told them congratulations. I felt bad. I felt like I did something wrong, but I know, no, I didn't. So,
No, they got lucky, is what that is. That was luck.
so when we start talking about the buyer's need analysis, what I ask is, if the perfect home fell out of the sky right now, what would it look like? And sometimes you get one answer from the husband and a totally different answer from the wife. And so we go through and I usually ask, tell me 3 things that you must have and 1 thing that's a deal breaker. And just to give you an example, I had a buyer, sold them a house here in River Club. One of their must-haves was sidewalks in the community because they had dogs and they like to walk at night and they wanted to live somewhere where there were sidewalks. Some people may say we want a large yard. Well, a large yard to me might be something totally different than it is to you. So what's important about a large yard? Well, we want to raise goats and chickens. Well, okay, they need a couple acres, right? So you want to ask questions. You want to stay in curiosity. Stay away from school districts. They say they want to be in a certain school district. Ask them to do their own research on the school district, because I think what's going to happen, say somebody wants to be, oh, we want our kids to go to Lakewood Ranch High School. Lakewood Ranch is booming. And at some point, Lakewood Ranch could turn into a couple different districts. And you just sold somebody a house, and a year later, they redistrict, and they're going to be angry with you. So I stay away from school districts. I have them do their own research on school districts. You talk about location, what's important about certain location. Maybe they want to be close to work. Maybe their church is nearby. Maybe it's where their parents are. You know, kind of really dig into what they want. How many bedrooms, how many baths. And then once you start showing properties, then you're able to, oh, well, you said you wanted a fenced yard, this house doesn't have a fence. That's the other thing you want to be careful of, selling here in Lakewood Ranch.
Good luck.
You're not allowed, well, in Country Club, you can have a fence if it was there when you bought the house. But if you think that, if you tell them, yeah, you're allowed fences in Country Club, and they buy a house and they gotta put a fence in, and the HOA says no,
I don't know why I don't mention anything about fences without saying you need to check the HOA.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
even say a word about fences.
yeah. So yeah, I ask them about, maybe they might say, I don't want a pool. Why don't you want a pool? I want a new house. What's important about a new house? I want new construction. Explain, differences between resale and new construction. By the time you're done with your buyer's consultation, it only takes probably, I don't know, 35 minutes to go through the whole thing. You should have a pretty good idea of where to start looking. And if they haven't had their pre-approval yet, and you've talked to them on the phone and you kind of have an idea what they're looking for, and you call the lender, like if you were doing a buyer consultation here, one of the ideal things is you can go talk to Scott North and have him come in and do the pre-approval process. And while he's doing that, you could step out and pull up a couple properties, and when you go back in, ask him, would any of these work for you? The other thing you're going to want to do, if you're going to sell here in Lakewood Ranch, the very first thing you want to do is go register at the Welcome Center. And you want to take your client to register at the Welcome Center. Because what can happen is, if you're not registered there, and they're not registered there, and they sit down, you have your buyer's consultation with them, and say they sign a loyalty agreement with you, they decide, oh, honey, let's go look at some new construction. And they go into a new construction and they sign a deal with the builder. You're done. You didn't get anything. Whereas if they're registered and you're registered, you still get your commission. So I would highly recommend registering and getting your client registered. And if you haven't been to the Welcome Center yet, go over and check it out. And check out all the different communities. There's a bus tour that you can take through all the different communities here in Lakewood Ranch. And get to know the area. We were talking about niches yesterday. Do you have a niche that you want to be working in? The best advice I was given 2 years ago, Jan Swift told me, she said, Matt, you're all over the place. She said, you need to hone in on an area, learn that area, and stay in that area. I was doing open houses in Parrish, I was doing them in Port Charlotte, Sarasota, Bradenton. So I picked an area, and I know the area really well. And I'm able to get listings there. I'm able to sell homes there, because there's no way that you can know every community, because there are so many. And if Lakewood Ranch is going to be your thing, go visit all these communities, visit all the model homes. When I first started, me and my buddy Vito, who used to be in this office, we go out. Every Thursday was our go out day. So every Thursday, we would drive around the different communities, go check out the model homes. Then we go have lunch. And it really educates you on what's going on here in Lakewood Ranch. If you've been over to the Waterside community yet, I drove over there the other day, and it's still not fully open. but it's going to be something when it's in full swing. So know your market, and that way you can educate your buyers. Your first impression is it. You know, if you're able to show them that you're professional, that you have this value proposition, this is why you want to work with me and not Lindsay. So, all she does is YouTube. But if you're able to show them what you bring to the table and be professional about it, they're going to work with you. And I mean, this business is all about relationships, and building relationships. We are. Any questions?
Makes sense.
Okay. You want to do a buyer's consultation? Okay, we'll pair up. You two go first. Who's going to be the agent? Who's going to be the buyer? So just remember, we want to educate first.
Educating.
You can start by thanking her for taking time out of your day, for coming in.
See what you're looking for in the neighborhood, and we'd like to do. I think it was on down, now what you need the most of, so we can, hopefully resolve and.
Hey, bro. I've been really excited to start looking for my house. And dream home. And so yeah, we really don't know where to start, or I don't. There's no other person here. I really don't know where to begin. This is I've been a lot of high school before, so I'm really nervous, and I really need to lean on you and your guidance. So where do we start?
So you just know you want to be in this area.
Yeah, I mean,
The reasons, work related,
Yeah.
family,
Yeah, so my job is right in, Midwood Ranch area. And my kids, they're gonna probably be coming down here. They haven't moved here yet. We're moving here. And so I don't know what schools around here, but my job, I'm moving here for my job. So I just know that I want to be within this vicinity.
Okay, so we got a couple of points we need to look at up front from what you told me.
Mhm.
You have children who are in middle schools.
Yep.
Elementary, middle school, high school?
Middle school, and then they're gonna be going to high school next year.
Okay. I've done my research now. So, here's where the middle schools are in this area.
Okay.
Okay. And the neighborhoods that are close to those middle schools, so you get the kids to school on time, make it easy and still get their work and everything else. They're located in these areas, X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have pre-approved for financing, or is this
What's a pre-approval?
well, they will ask you a number of questions, you provide some documents so that you can find out how much house you can afford.
No, I bank at Wells Fargo, so I guess I need to go to speak to my banker.
You go there, we have lenders and people we can put you in touch with.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's one of the key factors, because a lot of the different neighborhoods here are all priced differently.
Okay.
Everything from the high millions down to 250,000. So that'll help determine where we need to look for you
Yeah,
along with the school system.
okay, yeah, I guess I do need to figure that out, huh?
You can bring
Scott.
Scott knows.
Scott.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna bring Scott in and he can talk to you for a little bit and give you some more information on that. So we really need to get down to the neighborhood, the area, the school, and the price point we're looking for, making sure they have the right number of bedrooms, bathrooms, et cetera. And then we'll go deeper dive into it to see if you want a pool, does it want to be a park setting, you know, all the different particulars that you'd like to look for in home.
Oh, okay.
My job is to help that, narrow that down for you,
Mhm.
find out what you can get into, and then put you right into that home.
Okay. Sure. I mean, I'll talk to Scott and, you know, compare what he has versus my bank. I know kind of what I'm looking for. What I've been dreaming of.
What are you dreaming
So I know that I would like to have a single family home, and I just, we really have no use for a pool anymore. My kids just don't use it, so I don't need a pool. We definitely need a 3-bedroom with a den. I need an office in my house. Don't want any carpet in my house, and I need a yard for my pet. And I mean, I've got a long list of things that I can just go through. I want a fenced-in yard. I want to have at least a 1/4 acre. I need to have 2 AC systems. I want to have a tile roof. I want that gas stove. I want mature trees and landscaping. I really don't want white walls. Let's see. I want a 3-car garage. What else? Gosh, I really like it when it's a gated community. Wow. I like it when there's a lot of kids in the neighborhood, although my kids are getting older. What else? I like paver driveway. I would like a screened-in back patio, a really nice big one. Sound like a typical buyer.
Well, I'm gonna say you're my dream buyer. You have narrowed it down for me to find.
Narrowed?
Okay, I can check off all those boxes. If it exists, I'm gonna find it.
We're gonna go right to Lake Club.
Yeah, except
So
there's no
so now we're
inventory.
talking Lake Club, which means we really need to get Scott North in here.
Yes.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well, like I said, we have to figure out what you can pre-qualify your crew for.
Okay,
Okay, that'll help target the neighborhoods again. You
okay.
give me a great list to go after,
Mhm.
to target all the things you like.
Okay.
I'd almost like to find out what you don't like. So we can knock those out of the way too. But my job is to narrow things down for you. I do all the legwork, find out where it is set up, and you go take a look at them and see which ones you like. And even while we're there, we're gonna narrow it down some more.
Okay,
Okay, market's pretty hot right now, so I suggest you move pretty fast, especially with the pre-approval, because that'll let us know where we can go.
okay. Anything else?
That's it for me.
Okay, that was good. That was really good. I thought you did great. And you gave them a lot of stuff. The one piece that you're missing is the educational piece. She gave you an open door. I've never bought a house before. And at that point, you could have taken her through the steps that we go through to purchase a home. But other than that, it was great. You did a great job. Ready, Leslie?
I might have to plow through it.
Okay.
I couldn't believe it too, taking the sun and so, okay, who's playing with me?
Lindsay's playing with
Oh,
it.
I am?
Yeah. You can be the agent this time.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. Hi. Thanks for coming in today. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm great. So what are we doing today?
I'm looking for a home.
Huh?
I currently have a home right now that I need to sell, you know, but like in a perfect world, I would like to, you know, close on this one and then be able to move in the next, you know.
Okay. So what is your reason for the move or the sell? Why are you downsizing?
Yes, downsizing.
Okay, so are you going from a single family home and then you're moving into a town villa? What are you looking to find?
Well, right now we have like 4
Fire
bedrooms. I'd like to
consultation.
go down to like 3, 2, maybe,
Uh-huh.
you know, just a smaller single family.
Okay. Are you wanting to move to a different area or you want to stay in the same area differently?
I'm kind of open to different areas.
Okay, is it you, is it your family?
Me and my husband.
Okay, so that's kind of where you're gonna be downsizing?
Mhm, yeah.
Is your family's, your flock the nest?
Yes.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay, so when are you looking to list your house?
Probably as soon as possible.
Okay, is there any reason to hold up the listing?
You mean?
Like, do you have to start packing? Is there anything, the reason why you don't want to list? Maybe you have to start doing repairs?
Oh, no, I mean, I feel like the house is in pretty good condition. Maybe you can advise me on,
Okay, so let's talk about the future home that you're looking for. So you're looking to downsize. Is there anything specific in this home that you're already thinking that you're, wanting to find? You said you're in the same area. Where are you currently living?
Lakewood.
Okay. And what's neighborhood exactly? Oh, nice. Very cool.
Man, you hit pay dirt with this buyer.
It's a brand new community.
Oh, you got
Like
listings.
she's downsizing from Colorado. Just built that community. Okay. All righty then. Okay. And so you're wanting to stay in Lakewood Ranch and you're just wanting to move into a smaller community on the ranch. Do you work currently still?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so in your future home, can you tell me a little bit about what you are wanting in it?
Well, we have some carpet in the bedrooms now, and I would like to just have like tile work, like the plank flooring throughout, you know. We need 2-car garage. We'd like to stay right at maybe 1,800 square feet, maybe a little more, that's okay. We have a pool now, we don't really need a pool anymore, so you know, it's okay.
Okay. Still muffled with the pole run.
You get that, I live there and you'd be surprised, like people will buy a home, I don't even know because it's a Facebook page. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but people have only lived there a year and then they'll move out.
I was gonna say, why don't we just find another house in Blue Run? You said the 1,800 square feet. And I don't think that
Yeah, there's a fishbowl in there right now.
Are you talking about,
I think it's priced at $616.
he actually sold.
Really? Wow.
He lives right across the street from me.
Oh,
He bought that house and like, he's a contractor who like gutted the whole thing, tile like throughout, he like totally
It's
fixed
not,
it.
they don't do anything.
Yeah.
That's why.
Mhm.
So anyways, we're very familiar with the process, being a homeowner, so, well, this is more like a listing consultation then,
I guess it kind of did turn into that.
because she's not really a buyer, because
Well,
she's
she's a
a seller
buyer.
house.
she's a buyer.
Listing is-
She's looking to purchase a home and she's looking to sell a home.
So will you sell and help me buy?
I mean, I'll gladly.
I mean, what-
Any more of you?
Which side don't you want?
No, not both.
Huh? Because I'm saying I'll take one side.
Well, I don't have to go through the education part. I don't have to go through to explaining to her how the closing process, because she's already a homeowner.
Oh, I still want to go through the educating process because, especially the inspection, because I like to talk about that up front because then we're going to have another discussion about that. prior to the
Let's skip
inspection.
whole Go and find through what you want to find.
Imagine we sold. No, we're looking about.
Okay, so once we find the home of your dreams, we're going to, I highly suggest we get an inspection done. I have some inspectors that I can suggest for you. You're more than welcome to find another inspector on your own. I will attend all of your inspections, whether you go outside and do it, general inspector, roof inspector, and if there's any additional inspections that you want to be done, I will attend them all. You'll get an inspection report. It's usually, has photos and all the details there. And then, after your inspection, maybe I skip the escrow and all that. No.
It's kind of hard to like roll through it off the, like the flip, you know what I'm saying? Like, without having.
I have an actual
Yeah.
buyer's
Consultation
consultation.
in front of me.
And my stepson has it right now. But what I did was I created 2 binders. And so when I have a buyer consultation, I'll give the buyer the binder and I have a binder.
Yeah.
And as I go through the page, we walk through it together.
Well, there's an escrow first, and then we have inspection, and then after we get through inspection, then there's, depending on if you're cash or if you have a financing, just financing contingency period. You have an appraisal. There's one problem with the appraisal. It all goes smoothly. It all goes smoothly. No, the appraisal, after the appraisal period, you will have to wait to get it close through your bank. And then we will, go to the title agency or closing agency, wherever we are supposed to close. You will get wiring instructions. I usually suggest you wire your closing costs and everything a day or 2 beforehand, just because there's any issues. And attending closing, what else?
Bring your driver's license.
Bring your driver's license.
You said that you wired the funds before the closing?
Well, you gotta wait until they balance everything. But I mean, hopefully we get that a day or 2 beforehand. But I don't suggest ever wiring the day of closing, because we've been there before, sitting at the closing table, and so I try to suggest doing it the day before.
And you wired it to the escrow people or what do you
The
wire?
title
The
company,
title company, wherever you, the attorney's office, the title agency, whoever you're doing it, wherever you're doing the closing
the
at,
title company will contact you
you to give you
with
the
wiring
wiring
instructions.
Right, but they usually do that the day before or whenever you're expected to be doing closing. But the title agency will sometimes say, let's, wire the day of, and I'm like, can we do the day before? Because either you're at the bank the day of, and then you gotta be rushed, and then sometimes you're closing in the morning. It's just too much stress. So I always try to suggest you go the day before.
How about you mentioned the inspection, you're gonna, at the inspection.
I always
can.
Well, like tomorrow, I'm gonna be somewhere with the leadership team, and I double booked because,
I can't.
anyways, I will not be able to attend the inspection. For the first time, I probably haven't attended an inspection in, I can't tell you how long, but it's the same inspector I always use, and I trust him, and he videotapes, he will call me if there's an issue, and he will FaceTime me, I don't care where I'm at, and so I mean, I usually am always at my inspection, all of them. And I have all of my inspectors in either tomorrow, roof inspector and electrical and the general inspector all there tomorrow.
I have on Monday, but I signed up.
Andrea. Andrea,
Yes.
how
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. What did you say?
are you?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Okay, all right, do you have any questions?
No, I'm just listening to all of you guys are saying there.
I wish you were here.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Okay, well, holler if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Get underneath here and look at this is totally different than having a photo. And then being able to ask your inspector questions right then and there. is different. Face-to-face saying, well, did this, is it because of this, we did this, would it be able to fix it? Those type of questions. And you may not be able to ask those questions on the fly, if you saw an image. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a background I wasn't a contractor in construction, but I did have some background in building. And so, like, I understand some things.
But if I call up the instructor, inspector, he can answer the question, what does it mean? Is it really like,
Well, yeah, always you can call them and ask, but there's just nothing like seeing it in person. If you miss an inspection, it's not the end of the world. I just highly suggest that you can do everything.
you
Any questions? Does everybody know how to write an offer? Okay. We'll just pretend that we're going to write an offer. There's certain questions that you need to have the answers to. Otherwise, you're going to be calling your buyer every 2 minutes to get the answer. So we want to, first of all, we want to know how they want their name written on the contract. Is it an LLC? Is it a trust? Is it just John Smith or Mary Smith? However, we want to know that up front. We want to know how much escrow they're putting down. We want to know if they're going to pick and pay title. Do we know what that is? Okay, pick and pay title. Here in Sarasota, Manatee, and Charlotte County, it's a choice. The buyer can choose to pay for his own owner's policy, or he could ask the seller. I know in Orlando, it's required that the seller pays title. But it just makes your offer a little bit stronger if you're the buyer and you pick and pay title. And your buyer's gonna say, well, how much does that cost? And there's a formula for that. It's 0.5% of the purchase price plus $75. And that will give you your cost for your owner's policy. And then there's other fees on top of that, recording fees and different things. I always add another $600 on top of that to cover the fees. And sometimes it's not $600, but I'd rather have more than not enough.
What do you think about the formula that you at closing usually pay 3% of the finance price? That's kind of your closing cost.
Yeah, your closing costs are generally 2 to 3% of the purchase price.
And that includes the title and everything?
No,
Just the bank?
yeah,
Okay.
and the lender fees and. So you want to ask if they want to pick and pay title. We want to know how much escrow. We want to know how long of an inspection period. In this market right now, you're probably going to want to do 7 to 10 day inspection period. A lot of sellers do not like 15-day inspection periods because they have to have their property off the market for 15 days. You're going to want to discuss a closing date. And a lot of times, you're going to want to contact their lender to see how fast they can close. I know there was a time, like 2 months ago, when you couldn't close in 30 days because lenders had so many refis in underwriting, they just couldn't get it done. So they were asking you to have 45-day closings. And I just talked to Scott this morning. He said, no, we're back to 30-day closings.
I go back to start from 45, and I have a cash buyer, and I call the title company to ask how much time do you need to unless we pay extra for the speed of,
For cash buyer, who's your closing agent?
Well, probably because all the refis.
No cash buyer?
Yeah, you still have, with a refi, you
The
still,
job of the title search and everything, they needed to.
Please.
you still
I
do
saw
it.
cash buyer in TPT, so that's why I was like, who's your closing agency? I use Integrity.
No, I did the lawyers, Ben Marsh, John Latour. He told me 25 days, like 21 days, that's it, like 2 weeks. From the state signed contract to that. I mean, mine was a condo, so they didn't get to be approved by the condo association and whatnot, so I had to approve background check,
But like Bank of America and Wells Fargo, they always take long. And the problem with like Wells Fargo is, just Wells Fargo takes the longest to me, always. So I don't like, whenever I see Wells Fargo. then-
Okay, so I run it back through my head. Also, on the contract, you'll see, you're gonna wanna look at the listing and see what appliances are included. And on the contract, it doesn't include the washer, dryer, or microwave, so you have to write that in. You'll write it in right where it says, property includes. The other things are defaulted in the contract. You're gonna wanna know if they're financing, what type of financing? Is it conventional, FHA, VA, USDA? You're gonna wanna know, that information will be on the pre-approval letter, what their interest rate is projected to be. Because there's a spot in the financing where it asks for an interest rate. If you leave it blank, then if the interest rates go up to 12%, your buyer still cannot get out of that contract.
Say it again?
If the interest rates were to go up to 12, on the contract, there's a spot for you to put in an interest rate. The interest rate shall not go above this certain number. If it goes above this number, then the buyer can get out of the contract. So what I do is look at the pre-approval letter and just say they are pre-approved at 2.85%. I'll add another 0.5% onto that, and that's the number I'll put in there. So if it's 3%, if the interest rates go above 3%, then the buyer can get out of the contract. But if you leave that blank and the interest rate goes up to 12%, they're tied into it.
I did that, I wrote it up based on that, and the sellers agent bought it, he said, they're gonna accept the offer until it's removed. Totally, I said, okay, what do you want me to put there, what are you comfortable with?
No, I would say no way.
Just
I'm
remove it.
not doing it. No. See ya.
Because they love the content, it's an investment, and it's current turnkey furnished. They want it.
It's not the seller's call. So, and you're gonna wanna know what percent that they're financing, because that has to go in there also. Whether it's 80%, 70%, whatever it is, 97%. And if a seller gets an offer and it's a finance, and your offer is the same purchase amount as the other offer, and you're financing 97% FHA, and they're financing 70% conventional, they're gonna take the 70% conventional over you. So if you get into a multiple offer situation, that's another negotiating part. If your buyer come up with more money and finance less, it makes the offer a little bit more attractive. And those are basically the things that you need to ask before you write the offer. And another responsibility for you is, once you're under contract, is to start working on the homeowner's insurance. If your buyer's out of state and they're moving down here, they're in for sticker shock when they see what we pay for homeowners down here compared to up north. And I have a couple different insurance companies that I work with that give really good rates, but you're going to want to start that process as soon as possible. And then 5 days before closing is when I have them contact the utility companies to start getting things switched over. After your inspection, if you have any repairs that you want done, you have to submit that in writing to the listing agent and accompany that with either that particular section of the inspection report or the whole inspection report. And there's actually a formal letter. I can get you a copy of it. That outlines exactly how to spell it all out. And then once you submit the letter and the seller has the repairs done, they need to furnish you with estimates and invoices for work.
What was the last one again?
Huh?
What was the last one?
Once the seller has the repairs done, they need to furnish you with estimates or invoices prior to closing.
Varies depending on if it's a standard versus as-is, right?
No, you still, if it's an as-is, you're still going to ask for, if you still ask for repairs, you have to submit a letter.
Right.
And if they have the repairs done, they have to submit an invoice. The only difference between the two, with a FAR bar, it has to be a licensed contractor, whereas an as-is, anybody can do
Joe
the
Schmo
repairs.
with a hammer.
Yeah. And I always recommend a standard FAR bar contract versus an as-is.
Good luck with that in this one.
Last 4 I've written been FAR bars.
I've just been seeing so much in the realtor remarks as is, and then I submit a standard and then send it back and say write it as an as is.
So my listings are just the opposite.
So, but they're your listings.
I
they're not
write,
coming in as
no,
buyers
you don't understand what I'm saying. I write in my listing FAR bar only, and then I receive an as-is,
and
and it gets kicked right back.
See, but you're a different agent.
Because, and what people are doing now is, say John Smith in Connecticut sees this house that he likes, but he can't get down here for 3 days. So they're having their agent write an as-is contract.
Right.
And they get down here to see it, they don't like it, so they just walk away.
Right.
And the difference between the two contracts is with an as-is, the buyer can walk at any time during that inspection period for any reason. And with a FAR bar, the only reason they can walk is inspection repair related. And that's if the seller, if the repairs come back, say $1,500, and the seller only agreed in the contract to pay for $1,000, and they don't want to pay the difference, then the buyer has that option to walk away, but they can't walk away for
Unless
any
you guys
reason.
are negotiating.
Unless you negotiate.
But that's not happening, and they're abusing the as-is right now. It's insane. I've had buyers saying, I see a house go off the market, and then 3 days later, it goes right back on the market. I'm like, yeah, because they went in as an as-is, They previewed the house for 3 days because they weren't here. Their agent came in for 3 days, or they had an inspector come in for 3 days and saw the house, decided they didn't like the paint on the walls.
Or they looked at another one they liked better.
Yeah, they like better, and then they put the house back on.
But it doesn't make sense when you're on the seller side, why would you put that? But on the buyer side, I'm
A lot of
protecting
it
my
is-
buyer, I wanna walk.
A lot of it is
No, 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 no,
sellers.
No, that's where you're wrong. We're in the business to sell homes.
Yeah, of
We're
course,
not in
but
the business.
still.
Okay, say you have a buyer, you've been working with this buyer for 6 weeks, you've taken them to see 50 homes. And you're using an as-is contract, and they say, no, I don't like that, I'm gonna walk away.
Okay.
Now, how do you get paid? You just wasted all that time. So I want everybody to have a far more, no matter what. Huh?
Buyer and pay, right, in essence, so you don't say that.
No.
If they find it in the contract, that part of
I
themselves, then they.
think there's a lot of agents who are just either not educating their buyers or just not caring, or they're just uneducated agents. I don't know what it is. I haven't figured it out.
I had a KW agent with my last contract. I submitted a FAR bar, and she had to go back to her training because she's never used one. She didn't understand it because I left the inspection limits and the WDO and the permit blank. And I had to explain to her why I left it blank.
Yeah, so I think that's a lot of the reason why buyers are getting to use the system is because their agents are not understanding, they don't understand how to use a standard contract. Because they probably never used one, they've used as-is their whole life.
Scott said yesterday, they're lazy.
Yeah, that too.
Which one?
The one we get on the 3 lot, the small house.
Mine's back on the market, it was an appraisal issue.
She has to.
I have a listing with an appraisal issue.
How much did I appraise it for?
How much lower did it come back?
Huh?
How low did it come back?
$40,000.
Holy smokes.
It's not, I told the seller from the beginning it wasn't gonna appraise. It's one of those, I took the listing and it's on the market, I need a cash buyer. I already know, I knew from the beginning I need a cash buyer. I said this market, I might get that cash buyer. It's an investor property. We need to subdivide the lot off of it, is what we need to do, but that's a
I
permit
sent it
thing,
to
it's
one of
gonna
my
take a while.
clients, wants bigger land, I sent it to.
I've had several cash buyers look at it.
Andrea, you have any questions?
Nobody buy it.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay, now we need to talk about DocuSign and Command. Do we know what to do? Brad, do you know what to do?
Yeah, I put my one little listing in there,
Okay.
and I'm learning as I go, and it says, oh, that's not right, so you go figure out what it is, and go, those two little things that I missed, or whatever it was.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But you know the process, how you do it. And we don't have green sheets anymore. You have to go through the commission section of Command to create your DA.
Yeah, we have a problem over here for green sheets.
Huh?
We have a problem over here.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't even know what that is.
So, and you're gonna wanna do that as soon as you're under contract. Do that right away. Otherwise, you'll do what I do or did. And I had 4 deals going at once and I couldn't remember if I filled out the commission part and got to the day before closing and I didn't have a DA to send to the title company.
What's the DA stand
Distribution of
Yeah.
possession.
Yeah. And so I went to the closing without a DA and the title company had to write a check to the market center. Then the market center had to write a check to me. And something happened with Command. I tried to do it, but Command wouldn't recognize my listing.
Because it's closed already.
No, this is the day before it closed.
Oh.
I don't know, Command, something was funky with it. And Samantha couldn't get it to work either.
Is it true for buyer side too, or just the more complicated?
No,
Side?
it's the same.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same process.
Yeah.
You just draw different drop thing, buyer listing, it's same exact process.
Well, we ready to go out and get some buyers?
Any of those, I mean,
I know.
Yeah, I was wondering, how I got previously, but that's more tricky. You have to be really like convincing them that buyers are easy. Yeah. I find.
Yeah, buyers they're right now, they're easy to get, but they're hard to close. Because there's nothing that they want. And the prices keep going up. I'm seeing people get priced right out of the market right now.
Right.
What happened with me, with my two buyers that I find a house for this for, I went out from their search area. I kept that criteria what they wanted, but I suggested different parts. I said, okay, this is nice, just check this out. I know it's outside of your circle where you wanna have it, whatever, just take a look at it, you might be interested. And they both find it outside of that and they really like it, like,
Okay.
yeah.
He was right, buyers are liars, okay? But seriously, like, for instance, like, somebody will be like, I don't want more than 450, they're gonna approve that. You put it at 475, they're gonna find the house they want at 474.
Oh, no, I didn't change that.
No, I'm just telling you.
They're just the numbers I don't change.
I'm just
because I put it
telling
up
you,
on the
they
next
tell you,
one.
I'm not gonna spend any more than 450.
Yeah.
And so you've gotta think, oh, not necessarily so confined sometimes, like, they're like, I wanna be in this neighborhood. Okay, well, sometimes think a little bit more, don't let them restrict your mind, be more open than they are.
Yeah.
I do, I mean, at first I wasn't like that, I was like, I only listened to what they told me.
Now, if somebody says my max is 400, when I'm looking for properties, I go up to 415.
Yeah, well, because you can negotiate now.
Well, not now, you can't really.
Yes or no?
But
Depends how long you get on the market.
people can come up with more money.
They really find the house they want.
I had a buyer, their max was 200, and they wanted a pool.
Well, how
So
that will-
I was showing them properties, showed them 6 properties, pool homes, under 200. And they had to make a decision what they liked better, the house or the pool. Because it was either a crap house with a nice pool or a nice pool with a crap house.
Yeah.
So they had a pre-approval letter that was 3 months old. And when they were pre-approved at 3.25%. Well, the interest rates were down to 2.8. And for every 0.25% the interest rates dropped, it gives you $7,500 more buying power. So I had to go to Scott and get a new pre-approval. They ended up buying a $290,000 home.
Oh, cool.
So there's ways, and they were renters, and they were paying rent $1,800 a month here in Sarasota, and their mortgage payment's only $1,300. So there's a conversation that you can have, and if somebody's in a lower price point, find out what kind of interest rate they got. If you give them a better interest rate, they can get a little bit more house.
But you can negotiate it, it's gonna mark up for a while. And even if it just if it was gone and coming back, I did both homes negotiation. I went down with both. Although the comps were higher up, they still went up. So they were, when the 20,000 less, and then 10,000 less. But the comps were all really much higher, but the question is much cheaper. Even they do it higher repair than they were in the contract, so, because I always look at the base, and then I thought of the distance, you either go full price, or maybe you can negotiate here. Honestly, I think, but then really push it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go get the handout. I have the letter to, if you're representing the buyer for the inspection repairs, and I have the questions that you need to ask when you're writing an offer. I'm gonna go get those, make copies of them. You want them?
All right.
You have one.
I'm a student.
Then you have one already.
I don't know. I'm redoing everything, you know, that's why I'm here.
I also my client that, hey, make an offer on this one, it's been on the market for a while, you are, I know that she told me no, maybe she doesn't want to budge, that she's like, okay, this is gonna be fine. And I said, just check this out, if you're interested, might be a negotiating position on this one.
I won't share his buyer's consultation guide with me. I'm gonna rewrite it in my own words, but I'm not sharing his.
How do you get listings? You just,
I don't have any. The listing that I got, how did she find me? I don't know how that really found me.
that's the thing, like, how do I do it? Just look at it, like, hey,
The last listings that I've gotten were people I knew. 1, 2, 3. There were people I knew.
you have a lot of other agents in this area? People you know that they are also agents?
I don't know, I was born and raised here, so I know a lot of people, and so okay, so someone that in my direct sphere is one of the top agents at Keller Williams on the Water. So yes, I do know.
Who's that?
Patrick Robley. He's Opal Homes, so if you go look on the thing, he's Opal Homes. Hi. And he and hold on a second. So, but he gets like $500,000 and up. But I take all the little looking. So yeah, my last 3 listings, besides the current one I have, are people I knew. This thing, I don't know how she found me. I've never met her in my life, and she's not here locally. So maybe my YouTube. I think my YouTube. I was in North Carolina and got a phone call, and I think she was like, "I watched your YouTubes." Old lady. Old lady. Old lady. I'm talking like mid to late 70s old. And yeah. And then all my listings last year, I had a lot more listings last year. Why don't I have any listings besides that one this year? So last year, Sphere, and I had a lot of lots the year before. And I got booked into those transactions. And there was either someone I knew or it was a referral from another Keller Williams agent on the East Coast who called the front desk, I think, and Andrea was referred them to me. And then, so that was 7 lots. They were
So that happens.
they were
But it happened to me.
$10,000.
I had one, I was at the front desk and I got.
I think it was Andrea. Someone.
Yeah, it happened.
Andrea.
$7,000 lots.
Andrea,
Yes,
you still there?
yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I'm giving some handouts right now. I'm gonna put them in your mailbox.
Okay, thank you. I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, so this one's the sample letter asking for repairs.
Your letter, this is what you wrote?
Now, Steve Greenberg wrote it.
Steve Greenberg, why is it something like? Oh,
I don't count that way. And this is the steps that we talked about education wise.
Yeah, it's funny, I just typed in buyer guideline packet, and there's a PDF filler, Keller Williams out of Houston.
Oh,
It's got a whole thing on it, you can change every single word and logo in it.
oh,
Oh,
And
nice.
it's like, because it looks just like this, you just hand it me, like, oh. Okay.
Well, there is one that you can download that, what's that one company that does our Keller Williams marketing stuff?
Got the roll.
Yeah, there's one, and I think it's this one.
Mhm.
And then we have one in our design thing as well.
this is also a good market report to get, show your sellers and buyers. Yeah. You can see our average sales price went up from November to December.
Is that the one that MLS just did? Yeah. Everything else is down
Is that same RASM resources?
Yeah, yeah. And work on a buyer's guide. And you should also do a, I don't know if you're gonna call FISBOs or not, but if you work with FISBOs, get a FISBO guide together. I put one together, basically it's 108 tips on getting your home sold, but it gives you something to give them. If you're following up with an email or just dropping by, give you a reason to contact.
You work with them lately?
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm working on one right now. I actually showed his property 3 days ago. It's priced at $389. It's a pool home. And he told me on the phone when I called him that he would pay me 3% commission. I told him I have a buyer, don't know if they're gonna buy your house, but they're interested in a pool home in your location. Could I show it? So I showed it. And he was there when I showed it. And so I asked him, have you had any offers? And he said, yeah, I have an offer for $393 with a contingency. And I asked him what the contingency was. And he said, they have to sell their home first. And he says, I'm holding out for a cash buyer. And I told him, I said, well, they could sell their house pretty quickly in today's market. And I said, I wouldn't disregard them. And so we walked through the house and everything. My buyers liked it, but he was way overpriced. It needed a good bit of work. And so he called me the next day and he asked me, you know, what your buyers think. And he said, I might consider taking $379, but only pay you a 1% commission.
What? You brought the buyer.
And I said, I only accept 3% commission. And I said, I'm not accepting anything less. And I said, my buyers weren't interested in your house. But it needed too much work and you're looking for too much money. And he
Call
said-
me when you change your mind.
And he said, well, I paid $370 for it back in 2005. I said, that don't matter.
That was 16 years ago.
He overpaid. And he bought before
Yeah.
the crash, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, so they're funny.
People are funny. I was gonna say that.
I sent him an email this morning. I'll stay in touch with him. You may just want to list it. Okay, thank you. We're all done, Andrea.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. Okay, bye.
All right.
Matt's trade secrets.
Yes. Now, how do you shut this thing off?
Now I have 2 hours of creative